I was debating about which jersey to wear this afternoon for this video, but I just watched Brian Giunta score the game-winning goal for Buffalo, so it is the Giunta jersey I go with. When he was Montreal captain, I got this for $40. And it's interesting because Buffalo beats Winnipeg, and it's another one of those games that Winnipeg desperately needed, and they lose. And this is what's been happening to Winnipeg this year. They look good, and they lose. And bigger news, of course, for Winnipeg is Patrick Laine being hurt. And at this point I'm doing this video, no status is known on how hurt. So if Patrick Laine is hurt for any extended period of time, Winnipeg is done. And this video, if you're a Winnipeg fan, isn't really going to matter in a short while here. I figured I would do the mid-season grades right now because tonight's games haven't been played yet, but we're far enough in that I think I can do this. And I'm going to go from the number 1 overall team all the way down to number 30, and I'm going to grade them. And as I did at the quarter mark, I'm not grading them just on their standing because that'd be easy. I'm grading them on where they are compared to where they're supposed to be. So it's a little trickier than that. And I'm going to factor in the record in the last 10 games as well, as to whether or not they're really, really good, or maybe they're falling back, or what's going on. So number 1 overall is Columbus. Columbus is an easy A. Plus. 16 wins in a row. They've got 126 goals for and 79 against. 79 goals against in 37 games, and that's including a 5-0 shellacking by the Washington Capitals. They have an incredible run, and it remains to be seen whether or not it'll continue in the second half, but they get an A. Pittsburgh Penguins, also an A, 55 points in 38 games. They've been 7-1-2 in their last 10, and they've looked really, really good. Third place overall in the NHL is the New York Rangers, proving once again the Metropolitan Division is head and shoulders above everybody else right now. Top 3 teams are all out of the Metro. 7-3 in their last 10, and I also give the Rangers an A. Rangers were supposed to fall back. There's a lot of talk about, the Rangers are going to be the worst team in the East, and there was. Before the season, I had that argument with people where I was like, maybe they fall back a little, but I still see them in the playoffs, and I was told I was wrong. So far, I'm right. But sadly, they're third in the division right now because that division is that damn good. Fourth overall is the Chicago Blackhawks, 55 points in 42 games. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. I'll give them a solid B. I know they're on pace for over 100 points, and there's still something there. There's still something I look at in Chicago and I say, well, they're really, really good. They could win a Stanley Cup, but there's still something there that I'm a little hesitant with Chicago. Fifth overall is Montreal, 54 points in 39 games, 5-3-2 in their last 10. Carey Price has looked almost human this quarter, and I mean almost human in that he's still really, really been playing great hockey, but because of the fact that Bobrovsky and Dubnyk have just been at this incredible level, it's overshadowed him. So he is still, the best goalie in the world, but he's been overshadowed. I would give Montreal in the second quarter a B. They got an A from me in the first quarter, I believe. I'll give them a B in the second quarter. The Washington Capitals, they're on a 4-game winning streak. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10, 53 points, 38 games. I'm going to give them an A because they've done this without relying on Ovechkin. Ovechkin's been good, hasn't been great, and the Capitals are doing it with a little bit from everybody. Justin Williams has come back to life in the last 20 games as well, and that's a huge help to the Washington Capitals. 7th place, Minnesota Wild. I would be insane not to give them an A based on their incredible record over the last 20 games. They have 52 points in 37 games. They're just playing some fantastic lights-out hockey. In 8th, the Anaheim Ducks, who have 50 points in 41 games. They're 5-2-3 in their last 10 games. So they're 5-5 if you count those 3 overtime losses as losses. I'll give them a B. They've been playing very well. Anaheim's one of those teams that scares me. They're kind of sleepwalking, and they're still 8th overall in the NHL, and they still look good, and they're a B team, and I look and go, they're B. playoff time, I think this year, I think there's something to be said for they could finally get there. Behind them, San Jose, 48 points in 39 games, 6-3-1. They've lost their last three. I'll give them a B as well. Before those three losses, they had an extremely good record going on in December. So Anaheim and San Jose are neck and neck. Who saw that coming? Very good. The Edmonton Oilers, 47 points in 40 games, 6-2-2. They're on pace for about 96 points this year. I'll give them an A. I'll give them an A because when everybody picked them to fall back, and I wouldn't have been surprised to see them fall back, to be honest. They haven't done it. They just haven't fallen back. The Edmonton Oilers are full mark for what they've done. There's no smoke and mirrors here. It's not just McDavid. Draisaitl has really come into his own. Nugent Hopkins has developed into one of the better two-way forwards. I know some of his stats don't show it, but he has. He's really become the consummate third line forward, third line center. And really, I mean, if he was an ace in the face-off circle, I'd be talking about potential Selke for Nugent Hopkins based on what I've seen this year. But he's got to get that face-off mark up. And Talbot's been fantastic for the most part. So Edmonton is in the top 10 in the league. Nobody saw that coming. The St. Louis Blues are 11th, 45 points, 39 games, 4-5-1 in their last 10. I'll give the team a B, and I'll give Jake Allen a D because Jake Allen, this was supposed to be his year. He was supposed to be great. He was supposed to, here we go. We went with this guy instead of Brian Elliott. Aren't we smart? And Jake Allen just hasn't been the guy that he was supposed to be. And I'm not just casting, arrows at Jake Allen. I know the blue line hasn't been tremendous in front of him, but it's a good blue line, and Allen's save percentage is not good. So B for the team, D for the goaltender. 12th is Philly. They win today, so they pull up to 47 points, 41 games. The stats or the standings haven't been updated here, so technically they've leapfrogged St. Louis now. They win 10 in a row. They lose 5 in a row. They win today. They start another streak. They've been very streaky. I'll give them a B based on the 10 wins in a row. It would be an A if they still had that momentum, but they don't. They're in an extremely tough division. It is going to be really hard for them to make the playoffs based on the fact they're in that division. There's no night off that Philadelphia can take, and that can wear you down. That can definitely wear you down. It'll wear down the entire division, but the fact that they're starting from behind and that the Atlantic Division is as weak as it is, so one of those Atlantic Division teams goes on a string of wins, it can be harder for Philly to keep that last wild card spot. But, a B based on how they're doing right now. Ottawa's in 13th, 47 points and 44 points, 37 games. They're in their bye week right now, 4-4-2 in their last 10. I'll give them a C for this quarter. They really haven't nailed down that spot in the division. They just haven't had a team behind them get really hot. So they're in the playoffs right now. The playoffs started tomorrow. Ottawa's there, but I'm not completely confident in this team. I'm not completely sold on it. So I'm giving them a C for the quarter. Next up's Toronto, 44 points in 38 games. They're 7-1-2 in their last 10. I'm giving Toronto a B. Freddie Anderson gets an A. Freddie Anderson, for me, gets an A for the most part. He had a couple of bad games last week, but, he's been getting ridden a lot. A lot. And he needs a break, but they don't have anybody behind him they have a lot of confidence in. So Anderson's going to keep playing. He'll probably play 70 games this year. So Toronto gets a B for me for this quarter. Next up's Calgary, 44 points, 41 games. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They had all kinds of momentum. Now they've kind of started to fall off again, but they've also started playing Brian Elliott when they probably should play Chad Johnson. So I'll give Calgary a B for the quarter, and I want to see them make the playoffs because I think Calgary could be a heck of a lot of fun in the playoffs, but we'll see. That iffy whether or not they make the playoffs. In 16th, with 44 points in 41 games, 4-5-1 in their last 10 is the Boston Bruins. I'm giving them a D. I'm giving them a D because they can't score. I'm giving them a D because their shooting percentage is awful. I'm giving them a D because the only reason they're over 500 is Tuukka Rask. There is nothing else I look at in Boston and say, oh, hey, great. They've got 98 goals in 41 games. They are currently 6 goals behind the Vancouver Canucks in 41 games. They played the same number of games. They've got 6 less goals. It is abysmal how the offense in Boston has become a complete wasteland. I am, as a Bruins fan, stunned by how poorly they have performed, and they're still near a playoff spot only because of Tuukka Rask. 17th overall in the NHL right now, 43 points, 41 games. The improbable Vancouver Canucks on a 6-game winning streak. And for the quarter, I'm giving the team an A. There's very few organizations that have less marquee talent than Vancouver has right now. You could argue the Sedins, but you'd be wrong. Daniel Sedin's on pace for 46 points. Hendrick's on pace for about 50. They're no longer what they were. Louis Eriksson's played well over the last few games, but he's still on pace for 38 points. There is so many parts of this team that have fallen apart. Sven Baertschi's played great the second quarter. Bo Horvat's become a beast the second quarter, and their goaltending's been fantastic. So I give Vancouver an A for overcoming the talent deficit they're playing in almost every night. Behind them is the Kings, 42 points in 39 games, 4-4-2. They can't score very well either. The Kings' scoring is poor. And I'm going to have to give the team a C for the quarter. I gave them a better grade than that in the first quarter, but I'm going to give them a C. I know they're still playing with Budaj, and I made a big deal after the first quarter about how, they got Budaj as their goaltender, and it's insane that they're even any good. But, that excuse is gone now. Budaj's stats are good enough that they should be better, and they're not because they can't score. 19th overall with 42 points in 40 games. The Tampa Bay Lightning, who are 4-4-2 in their last 10, I'm giving them a D. Yes, Stamkos is out. I get it. Stamkos is out. This team is better than this. Even without Steven Stamkos, they're better than this. This is just hard to watch and hard to stomach because they're losing to teams they should beat. And there just seems to be an overall lack of focus. And I'm really surprised the coach hasn't been sacked yet, because that's the easiest way to fix this, is for Tampa to come in and go, okay, we got to change coaches. This is a team that before the season was considered a cup contender. This is a team that when Stamkos was rumored to be on his way to town, none of us had any concern that Tampa would fall out of contender status because the team proved they could be a contender without Stamkos last year. There's something really badly wrong with Tampa right now, and something's got to give or else they're going to miss the playoffs. 20th overall, 42 points in 40 games. They're 4-2-4 in their last 10. This is Florida. I'm giving them a C. I think Florida has been better the second quarter than they were the first quarter. I think it's hard for Florida right now to overcome all of the distractions off the ice. They're not going to admit that. No team will ever admit, well, we're kind of off tonight because we're thinking about crap going on off the ice. But it has to be affecting them. Firing a coach that the players liked is the first issue. Tom Rowe has been kind of strange in the way that he coaches and in some of his statements. And I think the Florida organization needs to really look at itself. If they miss the playoffs this year, they need to take a really serious look at themselves in the mirror after this season and what they want to become, because it just doesn't look like this is working right now. 21st overall is Nashville with 41 points in 39 games. They're 4-3-3 in their last 10. I'm giving them a C. And without Subban, I think it's probably going to be a D if they don't get him back quickly. Nashville is just, again, much like Tampa, I don't understand what's happened, but they shouldn't be this far back. They shouldn't be struggling like this. They're better. They should be better than this. So there's an issue. Carolina, 41 points, 39 games, 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. I'm giving Carolina a B for much the same reason that I gave Vancouver an A. Carolina is not an overly talented team. I don't think I'm telling any tales out of school here. They're just very determined and workmanlike, and they're a very good team. They don't win very often. If you factor in the fact that there's 7 overtime losses here, they're technically 17-22, but they've had decent goaltending. Noah Hannafin is showing signs of becoming what he was drafted to be, and up front, Aho has made it better for Carolina than it would have been. And there's some reason for hope if you're a Carolina fan right now. In 23rd, right fresh off of a loss tonight that drove them back below fake 500, and they're 4 games below real 500, the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm giving the Jets a D. They were 6-4 in their last 10 before this game. Now they're 6-5. Now Lanne's out. Winnipeg is better than this. This is ridiculous. I don't know how many years Winnipeg has to be around that mushy middle before some major change happens. Lanne's the start. He's not the finish. Getting Pavlich out of there was the start. That's not the finish. I'm not sure what the finish line looks like for Winnipeg, but they haven't reached it yet. And they don't seem to have an idea of what it is yet either. So until management has a vision for where they want to be, the team is going to continue to be mushy. 24th overall, 40 points, 39 games is Dallas. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10. I'm giving them a D. You've not fixed your goaltending. You haven't fixed any of your issues. You're still stuck in the mire and the muck, and I have no faith left in Dallas whatsoever. None. I am stunned that nothing has happened. Nothing in Dallas to fix an obvious problem. 25th overall. Detroit, who are at fake 500, 17, 17, and 5, so they're 17 and 22, 4-5-1 in their last 10. I'll give them a C. They don't have the talent they did. Anthony Mantha looks like he's developing, as he should, but the team's just sort of hanging around. You want a team that needs Nolan Patrick? You want a team who needs a good, solid, young prospect down the middle? It's Detroit. Detroit desperately needs that. So I get asked every now and then, who needs the Nolan Patrick draft pick? It's Detroit. And I could see them making a move to get it at the draft table if they don't get it in the lottery. But yeah, C based on the fact that they're not the talented team they once were, and every now and then they come up with a really good game. Jersey, 4-5-1 over their last 10, 16, 17, and 7 overall, so they're 16 and 24. I'm giving Jersey I'm going to give them a C because they don't have the talent to play better. Unlike Boston, who has the talent to be better than what they've been, I just don't think Jersey does. I think this is where Jersey is. This is what Jersey is right now, and they need a lot of fixes. Blue line needs to be fixed. Up front needs to be fixed, and Corey Schneider needs to be Corey Schneider for them to even get a whiff of the playoffs. 26th overall, 37 points in 37 games. So fake 500 belongs to the New York Islanders. Think about this. 28 out of 30 teams are 500. Can you guys understand why I find 500 a joke in today's NHL? 28 out of 30 teams have a 500 record. How? Because it's a fake 500. Anyways, at fake 500 are the New York Islanders, who were realistically 15 and 22. D. The Islanders are mismanaged top to bottom, and again, I don't see any moves being made by the New York Islanders organization to fix this. They are in the mire, they're in the muck, they're in a building they shouldn't be in, and this season has just been miserable, and there's no sign of any kind of a move being made to fix anything. I look for them to be full sellers at the deadline. I don't know what they sell. They can't sell Andrew Ladd. They should have moved hell and high water to get Okposo, but Okposo's with Buffalo, and they're in 28th now at fake 500. After today's win, they technically bumped the Islanders down and moved themselves up to 27th overall. 15, 15, and 9, so they're actually 15 and 24, but they're at fake 500. So the Buffalo Sabres, I give them a C. They're honestly playing over their heads, even though they're 20th overall. Jack Eichel's good. I like Okposo. I like parts of the team. Buffalo's not a playoff team. They're not going to be for a while. I think during the offseason, if they make the right moves, they can get back into that realm. But for right now, they're just not there. 29th overall, the Coyotes. How the hell are the Coyotes 29th overall? Because 30th overall is Colorado. I'm going to critique both these teams together. Arizona has 84 goals for. Colorado 79. Arizona has 127 goals against. Colorado 130. Arizona has 8 wins in regulation or overtime, 3 shootout wins. Colorado has 13 wins, all of them regulation or overtime, none in a shootout. Colorado only has 1 loser point. Arizona has 6. So Arizona right now is 29th, but let's be honest, they're actually worse than Colorado. And it is hard to fathom that Arizona's minus 43 in terms of its goals for, goals against differential. Colorado's minus 51, and Colorado's probably marginally better than Arizona. I don't understand how Colorado got to this point. But both of these teams need a major revamp. This isn't going to be fixed overnight, and certainly when Arizona gets Max Domi back, it'll get better, but not that much. Not that much. These teams are both sitting 10 points out of 28th overall in the NHL. They're that far back. Of 28th in the NHL. When people talk about parity, it's parity minus 2 teams. And the parity's a joke too. If you actually look at the stats and you actually look at the records, parity is not what they say it is. It's just because every game is a 3-point game, everybody gets 500 except Colorado and Arizona. They both get D's in my eyes. I see Mike Smith in Arizona, and my heart bleeds for him. He's been playing very well, and the team in front of him sucks. In Colorado, the goaltending hasn't been great. The offense hasn't been what it should be, considering what Colorado has up front. You have Landeskog, McKinnon, Duchesne up front, and you can't score. It's crazy. Absolutely insane. Crazy that this is going on with Colorado. They should be better than this. I honestly felt when Patrick Roy left, I thought that would help the team. It hasn't. So Roy is vindicated. The record of the Colorado Avalanche right now has vindicated Patrick Roy, so maybe this Montreal jersey's allowable under that circumstance as well. So there you have it. 33 teams, or 30 teams, looking at them all at the midway mark of the season and grading how they've done over the last quarter. It's going to be interesting. Outside of Colorado and Phoenix / Arizona, any team can go on a run and make the playoffs right now. It is highly unlikely that New Jersey or the Islanders can do it, but because of the Atlantic being the way it is, sure, Buffalo can go on a run and make it because the Atlantic is a pretty slack division. And in the Pacific, it's much the same, and generally in the West. Welcome to the League of Parity, people. Welcome to the league where no team is ever really, truly elite, and no team is ever really, truly bad. Everybody's just kind of in the middle. And then at the end of the year, the funny thing is, most of the teams that weren't very good last year also won't be very good this year, and most of the teams that were near the top or at the top last year will be there again this year. There are some changes. But even with all this great parity that everybody talks about, look over here, it's parity, it's parity. I have a funny feeling that a lot of the teams that miss the playoffs every year are going to miss the playoffs again this year. And how long can the NHL sell this fake parity and fake 500 before people really catch on and the NHL has to do something to fix it? I have said for a long time, take the loser point and throw it in the garbage. Take the shootout, throw it in the garbage. 3-on-3 overtime till you have a winner. And no extra points. And I know people will say, well, you'd have, games that go on for 3-4 overtimes. Not 3-on-3, you don't. You absolutely don't. And you're not going to have teams playing for that overtime period. You're not going to have a team with let's say it's 3-3, There's 5 minutes left. You're not going to have a team going, well, we're just going to wait for overtime. No. Unless it's a team that has such a great 3-on-3 record, they know they're going to win in overtime. Then you're creating a situation where the team that's against them is desperate to get that win before overtime. You're going to create very, very exciting hockey in the last 5 minutes. How many games have you watched this year where the last 5 minutes are just one team or the other saying, we'll just get to overtime and get that point? It happens a lot. And it's created a situation like this. We're no further ahead. Parity is still whatever. It's there, but it's not. And at the midway mark, a lot of the same teams are still where they're at as they would have been without that fake 500. So I'm in favor of ditching fake 500. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing through. And if you guys want to share your letter grades, I'm all ears. You can tell me where I'm wrong. You can tell me where I'm right. But again, my letter grades are based on where the team's at compared to where the team should be based on the talent, based on schedule, based on all this. And that's why Vancouver gets an A and Tampa gets a D, even though they're almost identical. Because Tampa's supposed to be, according to all the hockey magazines I got this year, Tampa's the Stanley Cup champs. They're the best in the league. And according to almost every magazine I've read, the Canucks are one of the worst teams in the league. I said before the season started that the Canucks should be 30th overall. I'm dead wrong. Dead wrong. I haven't heard a lot of the other magazines, publishers saying we're sorry we were wrong. But I'm stating right out I was dead wrong. Canucks are 17th overall. Tampa's 19th. 19th is below 16. So best 16 teams in the league make it. Tampa, on no argument, belong in the playoffs. Neither to Florida, neither to Nashville, neither to Winnipeg, Dallas, Detroit. It's insane how many teams are supposed to be there and just they're not. But at least we've got parity, right? Any team can beat any team. The realistic way of looking at it is any team can take any team to overtime and get a point out of them. But the good teams still are the ones that usually win. All right, that's enough for me. Apologize for the length, but halfway mark and giving grades, you've got to kind of chat it up a bit because this is not a simple issue. Thank you for anybody who's made it this far. And I'm going to watch Minnesota playing the Kings this afternoon. It should be an interesting marquee-ish matchup. The Kings desperately trying to get back into that playoff spot. And the Minnesota Wild trying to maintain this hot streak they've been on the road. And LA's wearing their silver jerseys, which I really, really appreciate very much. It's a fantastic shirt. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon. And just go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you're browsing through, because you know you're going to.